There's a lot of things we had laying around the house or whatever growing up in the 80s. The kids today, they just wouldn't even know what it was if you showed it to them. So let's look at 10 of them. Welcome back. It's time for another video. We're just going to do a little short video here. We're going to look at 10 items that I think kids today, unless you're just raising a really hip kid, wouldn't know what these are by just showing them to you. Be like, what's this? They're like, I don't know. Is that some kind of weird toy? I don't know what that is. And we'll start with these. I don't know if these technically have a name. These are a little, you take a 45 record and the hole was too big to fit on your record player. So you had to put this on it so it would play the LP, you know. So it was designed for LP. You put these on so you wouldn't wobble all around. There was sometimes when you couldn't find them, you had to line up the 45 just right and hopefully it wouldn't wobble, because if it wobbles, it would sound really bad. But I bet kids today, you show them this little piece of plastic, they wouldn't know what it was. They couldn't figure it out if you gave them 4 minutes. They still wouldn't be able to figure it out. How about this one right here? TV to computer. They'd be like, what? Turn your TV into a computer with this little box? How does it hook up? And let's say you gave them this and a butter knife from the kitchen. They still wouldn't know what to do. But yeah, you had to put it on the back of the TV. I usually use a butter knife or your fingernail because you couldn't ever find the right screwdriver at the right time. But you hook this up to your TV, and then that will hook up to your Atari, your TRS-80 computer if you're using your TV as a monitor, maybe even Nintendo. And I think Nintendo did it. You could hook up another way to Nintendo, but I think by Super Nintendo, everybody was moved on to the plugs we know today, the audio video plugs. What about this right here? Static on your TV. The kids know that? If they walked into your room and your TV was showing nothing but this no static stuff, would they know what was going on? They'd be like, your TV's broke. Well, we might have thought that back then, where we thought, somebody didn't pay the cable bill, or a tree fell on the cable line. But sometimes it was just at nighttime, like 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. They would play the Star Spangled Banner and just turn into this. Wasn't no info commercials or nothing. You only had like 3 channels, maybe 4 if you're lucky. And you would get this. And you, whenever you saw this, you would say, they're here. You would have to say that. But kids today probably have never seen that before. I used to say it was a sky view overhead of a school fight. At my school, anyway. But I don't know. That's just funny to me. I always told my friends that, and they never thought it was funny either. How about this one right here? Overhead projector. What kid today walks into a classroom and sees an overhead projector? It didn't get you excited like it did when you walked in. It was that big rack that had the film projector on it. You knew it was going to be a good day. Or later, that big rolling desk thing that had a big rolling cabinet that had a TV strapped down to it and a VCR. That was always fun too. But this is where you put a clear piece of paper on it and it would shine up on the wall so the teacher could talk about it. Whenever the teacher walked out of the room, somebody would put their hand on it to show a shadow, do like this. I guess you could do it with one hand. I can't do it. Or you make little shadow puppets. I knew a guy that used to lay his hand on a certain way with his hand like this. And it looked like a penis. And it would crack everybody up. But like, oh, hold on. No, that kid, it might have been his penis. I always thought it was his hand. But now that I know that kid and I know what happened to him later in life, it might have been his penis. Okay, how about a microfish? Or microfilm, whatever you call it. You had to go to a little school library or maybe the public library to do this one. Yep. It was like the Internet Archives, but it was on these big old negative-like things. You put them in this machine, you had to... I think David Lightman uses one in war games. Yeah, when he's trying to search for a password to play some war games. Remember those? I never really used them much because it's always part of the library where you had to ask somebody, ask permission from a librarian and stuff. So I always, I don't want to talk to anybody. And how about an 8-track tape? Well, kids, you show them an 8-track tape. You might get them with a cassette tape. You give them an 8-track tape, they ain't gonna know what it is. Like, what is this thing? A big old box here. I don't know, but I used to listen to a lot of 8-tracks in the car. My dad had an 8-track player in the car when I was real little, and I used to love shoving them in. I'm like, Dad, can I just shove it in? And my dad would be like, yeah, shove it in. And I love shoving them in. How about this right here? A negatives. Now, we're not talking a film strip. They might know what a film strip is. That might be risky there, but these were negatives. They were like black and white images of pictures you took. No kids today are going to know what negatives are they? They find these in a drawer at your parents' house. They're going to be like, what is this? Holding up to the light. They're going to be very, very confused. And how about this? They might know what this is, but I guarantee you they don't know how to work it. They wouldn't know how to work. If you said, hey, put on AM 940, they'd be like, what? I was like, oh, let's listen to some pop music. Put on 99 Ways. They wouldn't figure it out at all. I bet you they couldn't figure it out. I love pushing those buttons. I love pushing those buttons. And how about this one right here? Credit card machine, I guess it might have a technical name for it. This is where you put your credit card on it and it would slack. Look like something from Star Wars or something. And you get a carbon copy. I always liked that. I always liked that word. My dad used to get carbon copies. And I would think of the carbon freezing chamber, carbonite. He would rip them up real small. They can get your information, steal your identity from carbon copies. Yeah, we were worried about that even back then, stealing your identity with carbon copies. But this was a credit card reader, and I'm sure nobody uses these anymore. How about this one right here? Green stamps. If you gave a kid a sheet of green stamps, would they know what you're talking about? Here, they'd be like, what, Dad, what do you do? What are you, a stamp collector? No, green stamps, man. You save them up. You get this little catalog, and you see which ones you want to buy and everything. You're like, oh, I got enough green stamp to get that Evel Knievel stunt cycle. I got enough green stamps to get a rowboat, a sewing machine, maybe even an overhead projector. Why would you want an overhead projector in your house? I'm not really sure, but you could put your penis on it and do shadows on the wall. You could put your penis on it and your friend could trace an outline of your penis on the wall. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I think it would anyway. But I just wanted to pass that on and say that tomorrow at noon, the noon video, we're going to look at things that you did for the last time in your childhood that you didn't realize at the time it was the last time. So if you're watching this on the day I upload it, we're going to do that tomorrow, but who knows. Thank you for watching. This is it. Let me know some things your kids probably don't recognize that you knew a lot about back in the maybe 70s and 80s.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.